Have a zippity doo dah, zippity day.
That's my dad, I knew all along.
I did not guide you, my child. You listened to your heart.
Welcome to your Walt Disney World Dream Vacation. You know, there's a lot to do here, so you're thinking, what to do first? How about watch this show and see how to make the most of all the Walt Disney World fun? So stay tuned and keep watching.
WDW Radio, your information station.
What if the most powerful memories you have from Walt Disney World have nothing to do with a single attraction? We spend so much time talking about the big rides, the headliners, the things we rope drop and wait sometimes hours for. But honestly, some of the memories that I hold closest have nothing to do with any of that. It's the little things, the throwaway moments, the stuff that sometimes wasn't even on the map and yet somehow made Disney feel special and personal and really like home. And this week, we're counting down our top 10 extinct and discontinued Walt Disney World experiences we would bring back tomorrow, but no attractions allowed, no $2 ticket books, no lower prices, just the things that made us happy and that we still miss. And I'm willing to bet at least one item on our list is going to stop you cold and make you say, yeah, I remember that. And of course, I'm going to invite you to share yours as well. Hello, my friend, and welcome to WDW Radio, your guide to Disney parks and experiences from around the world. I am Lou Mangello, and this is show number 856. And whether this is your first episode or you've been with me since the very beginning, welcome home. A couple of quick things before we dive in. Come join our incredible community and conversation over at www.radio.com/clubhouse. Watch and chat during the live show every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want a weekly dose of Disney delivered right to your inbox, including everything you might have missed, exclusive content, and the occasional contest, plus a free gift for signing up, head on over to www.radio.com/newsletter. And when you're ready to plan your next Walt Disney World vacation, please visit my friends over at mousefantravel.com. Completely free, expert and personalized planning from the team I have personally trusted for more than 18 years to make every single trip seamless, unforgettable, and truly magical. And as always, my friend, and you are my friend, whether we have met yet or not, if you enjoy the show, and hope that you do, it would mean the world to me if you would take a moment to rate it, leave a review, and share it with somebody who loves Disney as much as you do. It's really the best way to help others find us and grow this incredible community that we are building together. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. This week, as I really hope every week, I want you to sort of play along with me as you listen, just as I hope you do with segments like Disney In or Out. Because this week, we're going to talk about some of our favorite aspects of Walt Disney World that include history, nostalgia, sentiment, memories, and maybe a little bit of trivia and things you never knew or saw or ate before. But today is not about rides. It's not about the attractions that we miss. Although, yes, my fellow Mr. Toad fans, I already hear you typing your emails. This is about something else, because today we're going to talk about the things that I think, for me personally, changed how Walt Disney World felt. It's the little things. It's the human things. It's the forgotten things. It's the weird things. It's the tasty things, the atmospheric and maybe emotional and sometimes almost invisible parts of our Disney experience that maybe you didn't necessarily plan your day around, but I know for me sometimes became some of the memories that I cherish and remember most. I'm in this stage of life where I'm getting very nostalgic and sentimental all the time. I don't know why. But this week, it's about the extinct or discontinued things that we would bring back tomorrow. And it's not because they were necessarily the best of the best or efficient or profitable or maybe even practical. But I think because, like for me, they just made Disney feel different. It made it feel more personal. It made it feel more immersive. And sometimes it made it feel like it's some of those things that I think make Disney special. And as I go through the list, I'm hoping that you are building your list too, because I'm going to guarantee that our list is not going to match yours. And at least one is going to make you stop and say, wow, I forgot about that. Or, Mangello, you're dreaming. That was never really a thing. And I say our because I knew that I could not do this alone. Because when you're talking about nostalgia and history and details and stories and facts and figures and the things that make Walt Disney World feel alive, there's only one person that I trust to take up this gauntlet, to both agree with me and also tell me why I am sometimes wrong or often wrong, and maybe bring to light things that I have forgotten about too. Unfortunately, she was not available, so I went way down the list. And so joining me once again, after a long, unplanned hiatus, I'm not saying Prison was involved. I'm also not saying it wasn't. He is not just the publisher of Celebrations magazine, but more importantly, something else I have missed, my good friend, little Timmy Foster, and the crowd goes wild.
You know, right up until the end there, I was going to lead off with, you know what I missed, buddy? I missed you.
Aw.
But then what'd you say, prison? And I was at the bottom of the barrel. And
I didn't say bottom. I just said down the list. It was a very short list.
Oh, that makes it so much better. Thank you, my friend. It's been a while, though.
It has been, and I'm so happy that you agreed to come back. It has been way too long, and it's nobody's fault. Like, I got emails like, did you and Tim have a falling out? Are you guys okay? And I'm like, life just sometimes gets in the way.
Well,
it's just, but I missed you, and just so you know, I still, to this day, I don't think I have done a technical top 10 episode without you. Aw. Like, speaking of memories, we've done, if my counting is correct, we've done like nearly 100 episodes of top 10.
No, we haven't.
Yes.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Hey, that would make a great book, you know?
Do you remember how to do these top 10s?
No.
I mean, you didn't prepare for them before, so
no.
I'm assuming that not much has really changed.
I remember, because you just mentioned it, the bit about where I tell you you're off your noodle by mentioning XYZ. I remember that part, but
there's also, I'm sure you were going to start off by, go with me here. Yeah.
No, you know what? I don't really, no, never mind. I take that back. I think my first one.
And we did, and as we have done for nearly 20 years,
no way.
Yeah. We don't talk about it ahead of time. We do not prepare. I give you very, very vague guideline, which really is just sort of this sort of amorphous, gelatinous title. But to be clear, like, this is not going to involve attractions. And I hope this doesn't completely screw up your entire list. Like, neither one of us can say, like, bring back lower crowds or $2.95 tickets because it's cheating and it's also wildly unreasonable.
Hold on, I'm crossing a lot of stuff off. Yeah, that last one you didn't tell me about. And there might be attraction adjacent things on there. You might have to give me a ruling on whether
it wouldn't be Tim if there wasn't some slight shenaniganisms in there.
Actually, I'm more worried about you, though. You're the one that likes to bend your own rules.
Because I make them up as I go along.
You make them up as you go, and you can change them as you want. So.
But I had to put the thing in there about, like, lower crowds, and because it's funny, like, when Josh was announced as the next CEO, the things you start seeing is, well, hopefully he comes in and he lowers ticket prices. And I'm like, guys, we forget this is still a business. And
that's right. That's right.
Disney is a for-profit company. So I don't think... Look, A through E ticket books might come back, but they are not going to be $2.95 each.
Well, I can't imagine any business conference meeting strategizing session that would lead off with, you know what we need? Less customers. That's what we need. How can we do that? So...
Listen, we are making too much money for the stockholders. What can we do? You know what we do? Let's lower some prices. So I understand.
Well, that could be, but
right. I certainly, and I'm saying this half joke. I certainly understand, the heart behind it and wanting to make things as accessible for people. But for our purposes today, you cannot bring back $2.95 A through E ticket books. But what you can wish to bring back are discontinued things in Walt Disney World that you would bring back tomorrow. These might be things, Tim, that you miss. I think some people might still be sad and almost grieve over the fact that some of these are gone. Hopefully, I think there's a couple of things on my list that I know people are still sad are gone. And maybe there's a couple that you didn't even realize were there in the first place.
I might be surprised.
So will I. And that's why, as always, for nearly 20 years in every episode, I welcome you to please go first. And I'm just going to sit back and watch the fireworks fly.
So I feel like I might be in go with me territory already. And as usual, I feel like I might have broken 5 of the rules I was not aware of when I started this. But so my first one, actually, it kind of goes to that idea. If you were in charge, less customers. Well, no, but the idea of you do want to make the experience better for people who are there. What can we do to mitigate long lines and all that kind of stuff? So it kind of leads into this. So the first thing I want to bring back, and there's a specific reason for this, are paper fastpass tickets.
Dude, it's on my list.
Yes. Well, that's why I put it first, because I knew you were going to steal it from me. But I actually have a specific reason for this, I actually have this discussion with people all the time when we argue this. I'm not saying the FastPass system is better than Lightning Lane or Lightning Lane is better than FastPass or that either is better than ticket books. And I understand, and this is what I always tell people, all of these variations are meant to try and help us have a better time. They're not, people like to say they're money grabs and all this other stuff. But the science of queuing, is very complicated. So whatever they try to do, I'm with, because I understand the problem and I understand what they're trying to do. And I understand there's no solution that's perfect for everybody, but they try their best. But the one thing about the FastPass paper tickets that I did love, it wasn't necessarily running to Toy Story Mania at rope drop and realizing I went the wrong way and now they're gone and da-da-da-da-da. It was the ability, and I did this on several occasions, to have that FastPass paper ticket in your hand, realize it's getting to the end of the day, you want to leave, I'm not going to use this, and you can pay it forward and give it to somebody else. And we did that a few times, and that's a great feeling to do that. We've talked about the idea of paying it forward in other aspects in the parks of, like someone going in front of you in line and all that kind of thing. But that FastPass ticket was a great one, especially if it was for an attraction. And we had one occasion where we saw a couple that wanted to go as test track. They wanted to go. Oh, they're all out of fast passes. I guess we can't. And we could go, oh, no, you're going. Here you go. And it's whenever you can get that little piece of magic that the cast members know oh so well about being able to create magic for people. And when you get to do that yourself, that's a really special Disney moment. So I missed the paper fast passes. Mostly for that ability, because you can't obviously give someone your phone and say, here's my Lightning Lane, go for it, that kind of thing. But so I miss that. I miss actually the idea, I forget where I put them, but if you don't end up using them and you end up taking them home, that's a unique souvenir to put in the old scrapbook. I still have the Expedition Everest one I did not use because I was too scared to go on it a second time. So that's my first one. So I'm not sure if I broke 37 rules by doing that, but seeing it was on your list, I'm going to say no, and I think I was safe.
Surprisingly, it was perfect, Tim, and it was very, very high on my list. Look, yes, it had flaws. Yes, the lines were sometimes slightly chaotic, but here's what it actually was, too. One, it was free, and if you never experienced what we're talking about, paper fast passes, you basically walked up to a kiosk, pulled out a paper ticket, and it told you to come back between 2:15 and 3:15, and then you went about your day, came back, got on the ride. There was no app. There was no paid tier. There was no 7 a.m. phone alarm to grab a Lightning Lane before it sold out. It was this it was almost this little thank you built into the system, a gift from, to you if you helped plan a little bit. I think it was a gift, like you said, you could pay forward. And, it debuted in, I think it was like summertime of like 1999. And I remember when it came out, Disney Disney's a data, Disney's like, it's like Facebook, right? It's a data company. They did years and years of operational research into crowd flow and crowd flow management. And at the time, it was really revolutionary because what FastPass did, and really to a certain degree continues to do, is redistribute guests throughout the park instead of concentrating them in front of or at attractions or in queues. And I loved, like you said, the physical aspect of walking to a kiosk and getting that thing back, or sending somebody from your party with all everybody's tickets and running over and running back to get them. Like, there was something fun and, to your point, I think communal about it too. And I think it very much, I think it was efficient and effective. And over time, it sort of got a little bit maybe less so. But I think it was a psychological perception thing too. And that tactile nature of holding the ticket became part of the touring and the planning and the experience as well. And paying it forward or bringing it home or just sort of having that sort of moment with your friends and family, I think was an important part of it, which is why it was really something so high on my list. And I think it stayed till, what was it, like 2021? Like it's a relatively recent extinction. Yeah. I have to look back and see. I remember exactly when it was. So in no particular order, other than just sort of how they popped into my mind, the first thing I ended up dropping on the list was not an attraction. It was not really a show. Maybe something that was a little bit of a combination of both. And I think it was something that Disney has not been able to fully recreate or replicate before or since. Because the Adventurers Club in Pleasure Island, may you also rest in peace, was this truly fully immersive theatrical experience where this ensemble cast played eccentric explorers and big game hunters and world travelers, and you were not an observer, you were a member. And you went to different rooms in this 2-story building where the masks on the wall talked and the characters improvised. So every single visit there was different. And I know that there's a lot of people who still to this day feel it was one of the very best things Disney ever created in a park. And I think there's still people who miss that experience. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons why, it went away. And, we've talked about this in the past. I think, and I say this also half jokingly, so don't come at me. Like the greatest Adventurers Club fans are the people that killed the Adventurers Club, because you would go in and you could sit there and just watch the show and go from room to room. You can go to the mask room, you can go to the library, you can go to whatever. And there was no, when Pleasure Island didn't have a cover, there was no cover to get in. There was no food. There was really no merchandise. And if you weren't a drinker and weren't really spending any money, you were taking up space that, was almost like a lost leader, because you have to pay those equity actors. You have to pay the, cast and the crew. And I think there's a big expense to that. And I loved Pleasure Island, and it really was sort of this overarching vision of Michael Eisner to have this immersive nightlife district that was not built around bars, but built around story. People say, it was built to compete with Church Street Station in downtown Orlando. And yes, to a certain degree, it was. But the Disney difference, again, was storytelling, because Imagineers created this elaborate fictional mythology going back to like 1937, specifically in the Adventures Club, and very, very deep story about the founding members and their expeditions and the artifacts throughout the building. And those stories came to life, not just in the conversation that you would have with the character performers, but in the things that you would see on the walls, like, depending on who you talk to, you might even get like a letter, like from Pamelia Perkins. Like it was this cool souvenir that you couldn't buy, not everybody got, but if you knew, you knew. And if you got it, like you felt like you were part of something. And everything was so, I just remember, while it might have seemed chaotic, it really was very much part of this synchronized and choreographed series of comedy and musical routines that are going on all around you. And I think it was almost before its time. I think it was interactive theater before immersive entertainment really became trendy. And a lot of those performers that were there, you still can sometimes see in other roles and places and at events in Walt Disney World, which I love. So unfortunately, it is no longer there. It is something that I am sure many, many people still miss. I think I did an episode about the Adventures Club, I think with Jim Corcus, years and years ago. So I leave you with this one word, and it is kungaloosh.
There it is. So, it's funny. If this was a show of things that were in Walt Disney World and I never got to experience that I would like to have, that would be on my list, because I never got over there, but I knew about it. It's funny you said kungaloosh. For the longest time. Actually, to this day, you'll be corresponding with a Disney fan, and they'll start off kungaloosh, and all that. And I had to look up what is that, and then
And look, there are still there are like fan groups that still get together and have like Kungaloosh Day, and they dress up like Adventures Club. They are keeping the legacy and the story of Adventures Club live. And I would also be remiss if I didn't say the first ever event, the group event that I did with Mousefan Travel, mousefantravel.com, was we rented out the entire Adventures Club the night before it closed for good. The day after us, it was executives who had it. So we were sort of the last group or community of guests to be in there. And it still, to this day, remains one of my fondest memories and events we ever did. And that's, going back to 2008.
Oh, I guess my invitation got lost in the Kungaloosh mail. No, it's fun. Actually, the other thing about it too, and I'm kind of digging into this now, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers as a whole becoming a thing now. And I didn't start there because I kind of came after the Adventurers Club, but you have that connection there, kind of a backstory or a retcon kind of thing to try and put some of the Adventures Club into the SEA stuff. But that's still going on today at places like Jungle Cruise and things like that. So there's still, if you're into the lore, there's connections going back to that. So technically might not have started there necessarily, but definitely has roots and inspirations there. So
yeah, I think it really is. I think it's the first time on property, Tim, that we saw or heard reference to the Society was at the Adventures Club.
Yeah. So very cool. Yep. And I never got to go because I was too scared to go over to Pleasure Island. No, it was the thing, though. To be fair, at the time we're going and our daughter was young, so going to Pleasure Island was never on our list of things to do on our family Disney trip. So I ended up not managing to get over there for a long time. But be that as it may, that takes me to my next one. And I'm glad you explained what a fastpass paper ticket was. For those who don't know, me forgetting how long ago that was, and you kids these days have no idea what we're talking about. So the next one on my list, it gets the same thing. I mention it, and I'm thinking everybody knows what I'm talking about, and I find out more often they have no idea what I'm referring to. So I'm going over to Epcot, and I'm going to Christmas time at Epcot, and I would love to see the Lights of Winter come back. And I miss them terribly. And for those who have no idea what I am talking about, which is usually pretty much everyone I tell, this was a series, and Lou raises his hand, I could see. This was on the promenade between Future World at the time and World Showcase, a series of arches that just lined the promenade, and you walked under them. And they had I don't know how many lights, thousands of lights on them. Eventually, they became synchronized with the music that was playing during Christmas. So as you walked through the promenade through the arches during the holidays, you got this crazy light, magical Christmas show, which was unlike anything I've seen anywhere else in the parks. Maybe Osborne Family Lights in terms of sheer number of lights, but it was a different thing. And it was very Epcot and it was very futuristic. And the cool part, if you could time it right, was if you're on the monorail coming in, you would go through the arches. And depending on where you were in the show, that could be one of the coolest holiday experiences you could have. But they unceremoniously went away. I don't know, Lou, if you know where they are. Rumors went around that they're sitting in the ground behind a warehouse, or they're gone, or they're whatever. They may come back, they may not. So, but for the brief time that they were there, it was one of my favorite holiday things to do was the Lights of Winter. Miss them.
So it's not on my list, but I also do miss them because I can see myself walking on the pathway in between Future World and World Showcase and sort of seeing that lit up white archway. And when they did unceremoniously disappear for a season, my thought was, well, I understand. They're going to take these, they're going to refurb them, they're going to use more energy efficient LED bulbs, get this sort of a more modernized version. And then I just sat there in November waiting for construction to begin. And it never did. And it was sort of never explained why they went away and why they never came back. So yeah, if you saw it, you remember it, you probably miss it. And if you didn't, you probably have no idea what we're talking about or why. I have to see if I can find a photo and I'll share it in the show notes or on social.
I have like 2 photos I took that I still run out every time I mention this, but it is here. And my hope is, and a lot of people, that they literally are sitting in the back of some warehouse or outside, and it's just a matter of somebody looking at it and going, hey, let's polish these up and put some new lights on. We can bring it back. Who knows? So.
If you have the photo, post it on Instagram and tag me, and I will reshare it. You don't know how to do. You don't know how to do that, do you?
I have no idea, but I have a daughter, and she will tell me how to do this.
All right, a very, very wise. I'm going to go fast because I just realized I really have a lot that I want to get through. A very, very wise man who literally changed my life once said, "It takes people to make a dream a reality," and I'm going to talk about people because it was the people who made the Adventures Club. It was not the props that made the Adventures Club. And I'm also going to pull a Tim Foster, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to put 2 into 1 because I have one word for you, and it is Street Must Fear.
Yeah.
And there's the Street Must Fear characters on Main Street USA, as well as those on Hollywood Boulevard at Disney's Hollywood Studios. You know, it seems like it's small, but it mattered so much because Main Street and Hollywood, like, it had people on it. Like, it had, when I say people, I don't mean us as guests. It had actual performing characters woven into the street itself. Yes, the barbershop, you know, the Dapper Dans are still there, but these were the turn of the century townspeople who would stop and chat with you in character, just like you would run into a neighbor in this town that you were going to visit. Or if you were walking on Hollywood Boulevard, it felt like the studio was staffed and there were improv actors in period costumes playing gossip columnists and talent scouts and pushy director and starlets and police officers and construction crews. And it made both of these streets feel like they were alive. You hadn't just entered on Main Street, this shopping corridor dressed up in Victorian trim, but an actual town that had residents that were happy to see you. When you walk down Hollywood Hollywood Boulevard, you didn't know what those interactions might feel like. A cast member might spontaneously come over and tell you, you've got that look, or might mistake you for a celebrity. It was very unscripted. Everything was unscripted. It was very unpredictable. And it made both of those streets really feel alive. And, it made you realize that both of those streets are sets. And these were sort of the characters that lived on it. And when they went away, again, separate conversation for a separate day, they it sort of it felt like they were sets, right? It felt like they were sets of sort of missing those people. And I think these performers really go back to what Walt wanted, and I think his philosophy of this kinetic energy and feeling alive and feeling that you step into a story. Because look, even the Dapper Dans go back to 1955, and my understanding is that they were seemingly unintentionally scheduled or just would sort of just appear so that the encounters always felt like spontaneous. And I also think that there was an operational advantage, because I think they would help sometimes create and absorb crowds. They would slow that foot traffic down for people who were trying to get from one place. Like, guests didn't realize that they were being managed in terms of crowd flow because of when and where they would come up. Like if there'd be this performance going on on Sunset Boulevard, it might stop the flow of guests who were making that race down to Rock and Roller Coaster and or Tower of Terror. And I think they both felt authentic to where they were for different reasons. Like at opening, Disney MGM Studios was conceived as this active production environment. So the street performers reinforced that illusion that we had stepped into this real working studio, and they were so good at what they did. They all had improv backgrounds and theater backgrounds, and they had these sort of running jokes and running gags that would not just sort of run that individual set, but sometimes you could come back to and see them again and be able to pick up on those things again. And I think that sense of spontaneity and unpredictability and personal interaction with guests is one of the things that I miss most, and I would love, love, love to see come back. I'm still holding out hope as I keep my fingers crossed that Streetmosphere and all of the incredible performers, many of whom I knew and still know, I would love to see them do what they do best and bring so much joy to guests like me for future generations.
So they were just keeping me from getting to Toy Story Mania now.
No.
I feel used.
No, but I do think it was.
I'm kidding.
It was this tertiary benefit to having them out there.
No, I remember, especially in the studios, and one in particular. I won't go like a long story, but the idea that you'd be walking down the street and you'd see, like in the particular case you see an old time director just kind of wandering on the corner. And then somebody else comes up with a director's chair or something. And the idea that something magical is about to happen here, and you go over, and then it all of a sudden turns into this whole impromptu show that's right in front of you. It wasn't on the guide map, it wasn't on your schedule, but just this little piece of magic that just happened in front of you. It was great.
And sometimes it wasn't happening in front of you. You were part of it, right? We were brought into the show. Yeah.
Yeah, they picked you. They never picked me out of the crowd. They picked you out of the crowd. Let's see. My next one. What am I going to do? Let's do. This is a little one, and this is a place. And I don't know how many people would even remember this. It's in the France Pavilion in Epcot, and this was a little area. It was behind the perfume shop, if I remember correctly. Just a little library area. And you went in, there was nothing in there. It wasn't a store. It wasn't a counter service restaurant. It wasn't an attraction, obviously. The only thing in there was stuff. But it was just a place to look, and it was filled with all kinds of little details. There's a beautiful stained glass window of Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Beast's rose up on top of a mantle. There were books of the original versions of Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast. Hidden Mickeys everywhere if you could find them. It was just an area that seemingly didn't really serve a purpose. It was just there. And to me, it was always like, it felt like a little secret area that nobody knew about. And I would go in there and just walk around, and for someone who was into looking for the little details and the secrets and the hidden Mickeys and there was so much to find in there. It was such a treasure trove of little things to look for, and it went away. And I guess it makes sense in the from the perspective of it wasn't really serving a function as a guest area that had a purpose, but it was just one of those little out of the way areas. And there's probably a lot of these in World Showcase, but that one was my favorite. We could just go in. It was a undiscovered treasure you felt, and you could share with people, bring them in, and they go, this is so cool. And you'd show them this and this and this. So I miss that. Of all the ones in World Showcase, I miss that one the most because there was so much to look for in there.
So I was smiling as you were talking about it because I remember I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that in years. And I was smiling because I'm like, I'm hoping somebody else listening is going to go, oh gosh, I remember that too. And I love the fact that, and they're becoming fewer and farther between because so many people are creating content and sharing content, which I love. I think it's wonderful. We all want to sort of enhance everybody's enjoyment and appreciation of the parks. But it was that thing, Tim, that you go, hey, come with me. I want to show you something. And there was that wow, aha moment that you were able to gift to somebody that they would hopefully be able to gift going forward. So I think that was one of those places and spaces as well. Tim, I'm going to show just how ancient I really am.
Oh, by the way, before you proceed, I just want to tell you, in my circle, on our podcast and stuff, we talk about the idea of shoving two answers into one. We call that doing a Lou Mangello. I know you tried to say, you said you tried to call it doing a little Timmy Foster. I learned from the master, my friend. So I just want to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, my lawyers will be in touch. Okay.
There you go.
So set your Wayback Machine, if it can scroll back this far, to a time before smartphones, before the My Disney Experience app, before any of it. Yes, there was a time before the internet. Because as you drove onto Disney property, there was this moment. There was literally almost a specific moment where you crossed the line from the real world into Disney's world. And you could tune your car radio to AM 1030 and hear Disney talk to you and your family. I am talking about the original Walt Disney World information station, the radio guide that you were able to access once you got to a certain point on property, and your mom and dad's station wagon, kids look up all these words that make no sense to you. You go to AM 1030 and you would get park hours, wait times, weather, dining tips. The resort, the guest, the cast was already welcoming you through your dashboard before mom and dad ever parked the car. It sounds like this tiny, simple, ridiculous thing. It wasn't. It was that moment, right? And I think those of us we've all had it when you've driven on and you see the arch. Like, you have your moment where you feel like you've arrived. Like, that was it. And I think this was Disney's way of saying, like, we've been waiting for you. We're already ready for you. Like, we're already taking care of you. And because there was a human being saying these things on the other side, like, it made you feel a way that no app ever does. Look, it's why I love podcasting so much, right? Because you can read something on a screen. It's different than hearing the passion in somebody's voice, to feel like you have that personal connection. And this radio station that started in the 70s, really just giving you that super helpful information, began to evolve and included music, and it would have narration and traffic updates and seasonal things that were going on. And I think for those of us who arrived by car, it was this ritual signaling of emotional arrival before you even had that physical arrival. And it was this ambient storytelling that you were able to get, that we almost sort of take for granted now because we have so much content input before we go on our vacation. But this, for most guests, is when it actually first started. You didn't have, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have TV, you didn't have, things coming to your house getting you ready for this trip. This was really sort of that first moment. And, and I think it was also to Tim, I remember going with my parents. We drove from New Jersey every time. It shows how the personalization has shifted from these shared experiences. Like we all were sort of like, I'm going to cry. I could sort of see me and my brother leaning over, and the front seat of my parents' car was like, it was one long like bench seat. Forget seatbelts. Who needs those? Yeah. We would sort of lean forward, like wanting to get closer to the radio, and I could see my dad to the left and my mom to the right, and we were all paying so close attention. And that has shifted now to sort of individual smartphone screens. So I miss not just what the radio represented, but I miss sort of having that shared experience of that sort of arrival moment.
Wow. So when did this go away?
Maybe it's still there.
I was going to say, is it possible it's still there?
There's like one guy broadcasting AM. I think it went away in the 80s, 90s. I can look and see.
Well, I said because I never experienced this. I think my other reason for never experiencing this is I've never driven to Walt Disney World. So, like, as opposed to plane shuttle, that's how we did. I never did the drive, so I didn't have that experience of being in the station wagon where I would sprawl out in the back and just lay down. Did you ever do that, Lou? Of course you did. It's a station wagon. Of course you did.
No, you were facing backwards, right? Remember, you would face backwards with no seatbelts. I'm sure it was perfectly safe.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that was a good one. Are you looking up when it was going?
I am. I can't seem to find any definitive...
I want to go down there and just tune my radio to that. Just, maybe it's there.
Do you even still have an AM radio? Yeah, you know what? I'm actually...
They still have AM on my radio, yeah.
I am going to... You're still driving your mom's 1972
I could parallel... I could parallel park a station wagon like nobody's business. I was good at it because that's what we had.
Yeah, I can't...
The brown one with the wood panels and the...
I can't seem to find...
The button for the high beams, a big... On the floor, you had to smash your foot. Yeah.
The ashtray right there in the middle.
The ashtray and the cigarette lighter that's sitting right there. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Let's see. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hang in Epcot. Boy, I've been in Epcot a lot here. I will start this by saying I love Dreamer's Point. I love the statue of Walt Disney. I do love that whole area and the ambiance and the feeling that you get when you're there, especially at night. But that being said, I do miss the Fountain of Nations. And to go right with it, I miss the electric umbrella. And to us, they're kind of one and the same thing. And it's more about electric. Well, it's about the fountain, but the experience of sitting outside of the electric umbrella, seeing the fountain, and back of Spaceship Earth with the canopy of those triangular fabric panels over us, hearing the birds, which took me years to realize those weren't real birds. Those were piped in bird noises to keep the birds away from my cheeseburger. But that was always one of our, like when you're in the parks, and we all have them, where you get to a point you just want to go chill somewhere and relax. And that was one of our places to just go get something, sit outside, watch the fountain, watch a show, get wet if the wind was right. And the fountain itself has a long story to it with the opening of Epcot and all the waters of the world being poured into it, that whole thing. But even besides the story of what it was, but just the fact that it was there. And again, it would be you'd be walking by and spontaneously a water show would start when you weren't expecting it. But there was something so relaxing and futuristic about it at the same time. So that for me was a big one, that area. Again, I love Dreamer's Point. I'm not saying take out Dreamer's Point and put this back, but I feel like for all these, there just needs to be an alternate universe where I can go and do these things and still enjoy the ones today. So, but
yeah, it's like Fringe. Like it's just
exactly
right. The universe is a little bit different, but things like that are still there.
Right.
Once again, I was smiling as you said that, Tim. I too missed the fountain. I didn't even think about it, but I missed the kinetic elements. I could hear the music loop playing, which I love, love, love. You can still find it on Spotify. But I did love what that represented. And you had these like little shows that were sort of going on sort of seemingly spontaneously throughout the day and night. So all right, I'm going to go really fast, and I am going to, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm going to touch an exposed nerve for a lot of people.
Uh-oh.
So it's coming. I would be remiss, however, if I did not say this, because I think for a lot of people, this is something that is very sorely missed. I think there is a potential for it maybe to come back. Who knows? Because for about 17 years, starting in 2005, because I think it was launched with I think it was like the What Will You Celebrate campaign. And they really wanted to make your Walt Disney World experience as frictionless as possible. And so they launched Disney's Magical Express. I know.
Why did you do that?
I know. I don't want to pour salt in your wounds, but again, for those who are unfamiliar, here's what Magical Express actually was. You got off your plane at MCO, Orlando International Airport. You got on you were greeted by a Disney cast member waving big Mickey hands in this very beautiful, like bluish suit with like yellow pinstriping. You got on a Disney bus and went directly to your resort. Your checked luggage was pulled off the carousel for you, delivered to your hotel room while you were out going to enjoy the parks. You never touched a bag. You never called an Uber. You never got in this sketchy taxi. You never thought about logistics at all. Disney had you, not in a bad way. Disney sort of embraced you from the moment you landed. And I think what it was is your Disney bubble, your Disney experience started not when you got on property, not when you heard the radio station, but as soon as your feet touched the ground in Orlando. And I think it extended the Disney bubble almost all the way to the gate. And when you got on board, there was like, onboard video. So like you were in, and I think it was not just the physical benefits of what it did for you, but I think it was this psychological transition that shifted guests mentally into vacation mode even before they got onto property.
I was about to say exactly that, because I remember, well, two things. When you were talking about AM, what was that, 10:30? What whatever that was.
Tim's still trying to tune his transistor radio at home.
No, but my version of that was when we would watch the videos on the bus, on the Magical Express. That was kind of the same thing. And it wasn't so much telling you what to do and how to do it and what the hours were, but just we were watching Chip and Dale cartoons, but we were in it. But I remember exactly what you said when you got off the plane and you went down to was it the first floor or the second floor? I haven't been to that airport in a long time. But at least where we had a long way to go to get to the Magical Express loading area, because it was way at the end. But I remember having that feeling as you're walking and you're walking and you're walking, and then you see it and it's beckoning you, and it's different than everything else. It's got the Disney colors are there. You can recognize them. And yes, I would start to get that I'm here feeling right there. And it was kind of a long drawn out thing, because it was a long walk to get there. So you could see it getting closer and closer and closer. And they're waving at you with the big Mickey hands. And yeah, it definitely puts you in Disney mode in the sense of, this is a little piece of the airport that's not part of my real world, and now it begins, Yeah, I missed that.
And once again, it was that communal experience, because now you're on this bus, and all of a sudden they're not strangers anymore, because you're all going to the same place. You're all sort of like, like you're all fans of the same thing. Like, I get you. Like, yeah.
Oh. I almost had it, but I didn't put it on there because it was going to be too painful, but you went there, so I need a moment.
I had to be included on.
I know,
my list.
Since I think we're on number 10 here.
I think this is number 10,
right,
although
so
I
I'm
have
doing-
like 76 more, but I'll go through mine fast.
I have honorable mentions, but I'm going to do a 2-for-1 here. This is, like I said, this is what we call doing a Lou Mangione. This is what we do. I'm going to do a couple resorts, and they're right next to each other. So in my world, this counts. So starting at the Contemporary, I miss the fourth floor, the Grand Concourse, but I miss the day when it was basically empty and it was really just a place to gather, especially the side, which is now home to the Fantasia Gifts, when that was not there. And this was just a big open area, and you had BB Gifts there. But you could just sit, and there was a big, when we went, there was the big snow globe for, I think it was the Millennium Celebration when that was up. And plus, I throw in a bonus item, because I don't think this is back, and I don't know if it's coming back at Christmas, the giant Mickey wreath that they would put up at the end facade. We always miss that. On the other side, one of our first restaurant experiences and one of our first favorite of all time remains to this day the Concourse Steakhouse when that was there. Home of super waiter Dan, who said, of course you can have 2 cream spinaches. This is Disney. You can do whatever you want. But it was one of the first places we ate, and we were at the resort. The monorail's overhead. This is George Jetson's Tomorrow. How could it get any better than this? So I still enjoy the area today, but it's a lot more, it's a lot busier, it's a lot more frenetic than it was back in the day. We kind of miss when it was just a place to chill. And along those same lines, if we hop next door, and I'm going to steal another one, the Polynesian lobby, I do miss the big rock waterfall fountain that was there for so many years. And I think a lot of us, even though the new remodeling, it's beautiful and it looks fantastic and is amazing. And if that was the first thing I had ever seen at the Polynesian, as if it had just opened, I would go, wow, this is incredible. But for those of us who remember the fountain and the plants and the rocks and the waterfall and all that, and it was such a great place to take pictures, and it absolutely took you to this tropical setting far away. Anybody who remembers that we all miss it.
And the musty water smell.
And everything about it. Yeah, it did. It kind of puts you, even though it was the 90s or the 2000 aughts, I can't remember exactly when they changed it. It was pretty recently, but I always felt like, man, this is 1972, man. This is so 70s. So I miss it. 2-for-1. Both of those lobbies, still love them today, but I miss the older versions, which were a little more peaceful and tranquil.
I'm going to piggyback on this, and we're going to make this a 4-for-1.
Okay.
Let's bounce back to the Contemporary, because I would be remiss, little Timmy Foster, if I did not say 3 of my favorite words at Walt Disney World. And it's, believe it or not, they're not food related.
I'm going to say I know what they are, but I guess I don't. So
Fiesta Fun Center.
There you go.
I was going to say it's an arcade, but calling this an arcade is like calling the Grand Canyon a hole in the ground. The Fiesta Fun Center took over almost the entire first back corridor of the Contemporary, and it was filled with every game, every pinball machine, every quarter-eating distraction a little kid like me could dream of, wrapped up in that beautiful 1970s like color palette of orange and browns and gold and whatever that rust color was. Yep. And there was a snack bar and a movie theater and a shooting gallery, and your mom or dad could just give you a roll of quarters and you wouldn't see each other for hours. And like we didn't care, because it's exactly where we wanted to be. It's where Steakhouse 71, previously the Wave, sits now. I think what it did too, Tim, and again, remembering back to the 70s when this opened and there was, quote unquote, only Magic Kingdom there, it's at a time that the resorts were destinations unto themselves, not just places to sleep and eat. And I think it also encouraged, much I think like the way Disney Cruise Line does now, it encouraged kids to explore and go off independently, like this was their playground, not for little kids, but for older kids. And I love and I miss and have super fond memories of that. And do you remember, and I actually had this on my list, and it's super tiny, but it's super cool. And maybe the Fast Pass discussion made me think about this. Do you remember when you checked in and you got a resort ID card, like a physical room key, and it had your name on it and the resort logo on it, and like it was yours, and it was your park ticket and your dining card and your room key and all these things. And it almost felt like you were given like this little credential, like this cool little VIP card. And we kept them. I know in my closet, right over there, there's a small stack of them that I had way back when, because it was sort of that physical reminder that we were there. And yes, magic bands do too, but they're not specific to, well, sometimes for some people they get individual ones, but like they were specific to that trip. And you would look at that and go, oh, I remember this. I remember doing this thing with my mom and dad. And then I guess it was probably the early 2000s. The Key to the World cards came in. But I think like when you see them, they would sort of transport you back to a certain trip and a certain memory that I think the digital credentials we get now just don't do, because we don't have that sort of tactile artifact.
So funny. Yes, we do the card. I think quite a few times I used the wrong card on my trip. Like, oh wait, that's from last year. But actually, to this day, when we go, with Lisa, she will ask for the card, because you still can, in lieu of a magic band or something. And she'll do that. She collect, which ones do you got? And they got like a Simba and all that, whatever they are. And you can,
but they don't have like the resort logo on it, right? Like they're not resort specific.
No, they're Disney, yeah. But you still the tactile part about having a physical card, and it's a little souvenir and all of that, so you can still do that. But yeah, I remember those back in the day.
I'll have to see if I can find one and post a picture of it. All right. Lightning-ish round. What do you have on your honorable mentions?
Here, I'll rattle off my honorable mentions, and then I'll settle back and listen to your... What do you got, 57, 73? What do you got?
Close.
All right. These all deserve much more discussion than I'm going to give them, but I'm going to start... Now, this was attraction adjacent, so I didn't know if this would count. Shrunken Ned's Junior Jungle Boats.
Love it.
How many times do we pilot those little boats? It's my own jungle cruise. For those who don't know, this was a coin-operated, like a Frontierland shooting arcade thing, but you piloted your boat around. There's volcanoes and canyons and all kinds of stuff. That was fun. Disney Quest.
Yeah.
We loved Disney Quest. And the best part was playing the games and Cheesecake Factory, but the other one was having no idea what floor you were on, because the map was so confusing. But we love Disney Quest.
And that chamber had no windows.
That's
and
right.
Like one door.
Now, if you tell me this is back again, Lou, you will be, well, you already are my best friend, but you may be my bestest friend. Would be the shawarma platter at the Tangerine Cafe in Morocco.
Wow.
Oh, I miss you.
Ding, ding, ding. This is the first food-related entry I think we've had.
It was one of mine. I'm going to try something I've never had on a trip. Where should I go? Well, this looks interesting. I've never had this. And then it became my go-to. Every time I went to Disney, one day I would go just have a shawarma platter, sit down, watch Moroccan, watch the old men do belly dancing in the thing, which is great. And but it went away over COVID, when it opened and closed and came back again. That went away, and I miss it. And next on my list, this is good. This is kind of for a lot of resorts, but specifically for us, the one we loved was Cub's Den at the Wilderness Lodge, but basically any of the kid places. And this was a place, Cub's Den in particular, Wilderness Lodge, we loved. We took our daughter there a little nervously, like, I hope she likes it. I feel guilty because we're going to go out and have fun. She liked it so much that became on her list of things on this trip. Oh, I got to go to Cubs Den. I got to go back and all that. So we missed those.
Wait, so I had that on my list. I had the childcare centers on my list because same thing. Like I would feel guilty bringing my kids there, but they were so well themed. Because remember, there was the Contemporary had the Mouseketeer Club, the Polynesian had the Neverland Club.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And like great storytelling. Like you said, Cub's Den, there was a Sandcastle Club, Lilo's Playhouse, there was also Camp Dolphin over at the Swan and Dolphin. Not to sort of go off on a long tangent, but I loved and my kids loved those really well themed and really sort of story driven experiences for kids. Sorry, guys.
This is kind of funny, just tangentially. That's a word. They gave you a pager in case,
right.
But that was back in the day when we would go to the park and we were trying to come up with ways. All right, how can we keep in touch? We didn't have these phone computer things in our hands yet. I'm getting like walkie-talkies at Radio Shack that work up to 3 miles, and we came up with all these plans, and it all seems so silly now because we're in constant contact now. What else? I'm always fuzzy on whether these are still there in some form or other, but the fiber optic lights that were in the ground in Epcot and Future World when the fountain was there with the swirling patterns and all of it.
Dude.
What? Are they there?
Too soon. It's way too soon.
Too soon? Is it too soon? All right, moving on. Moving on.
They're still gone. Still
moving
sad.
on. I love me this is my last one. Don't get me wrong, I love my Starbucks. You know, Lou, because you embarrassed me at Starbucks once. That's a whole other story. But
Wait, is that the Captain Handsome story?
To this day, yes, I am Captain Handsome for anybody who wants to find me out on Lou's Instagram. But I do miss the Main Street Bakery in the original form it was before it became Starbucks. And don't get me wrong, I love Starbucks and I have no complaints about it's there. But I miss, and thankfully they kept a lot of the theming in the Starbucks when they remade it of the old time Main Street kind of vibe and stuff. But I miss they have the Disney pastries that were there. Now you have the Starbucks pastries. But to this day, the best thing I ever had was that a 10-pound cheese Danish with a big glop of cheesecake on the top or whatever it was. That was so good. So I remember when that came in, we were a little nervous about it because Main Street Bakery is one of our favorite places to go, pop in and get a snack or whatever. But I miss it. But again, I'm okay with Starbucks being there. But put Main Street Bakery upstairs in that 4-foot tall second floor that's up there, and I'll manage to get around. So that is I believe that is the completion of my honorable mentions list.
So I have to stop. I have to pause for a second because I don't know about you. Like this whole time, Tim, I love this. Like I've had this like stupid smile on my face because I love like thinking back to all these memories. I hope you, Tim, and you, our friend who's listening, like I hope you are doing the same. I hope at least one of these things so far is like hit something with you like, yes, I remember that too. And it's conjuring up a memory that you had with friends or parents or family or even like on a solo trip for you.
Are tears being shed now over the lights on the ground in Epcot?
I think,
to your point. Yeah.
Yes,
I
think.
Sorry,
look,
I'm sorry, everybody.
That's the beauty of, it's why we love this place so much. It's why I started off talking about, it's the way this place makes us feel. Right. So here's a stupid one, sort of tying back into what we were just talking about with the cards and Streetmosphere. This is so ridiculous and it's meaningless. Do you remember when you would leave the park and there would be a cast member there who would stamp your hand for re-entry? Like a real human being with that like ultraviolet stamp. Yeah. And when you came back, they would check your hand under the black light and wave you through. It's 10 seconds of human contact and magic that was like, you just had that moment. Like you just wanted to like, sure. I remember going back to my room and I would wash my hands at night, but like try to not wash where the ultraviolet thing was. Look, magic bands are faster, they're more efficient and whatever. But they don't replicate that feeling of the cast member looking at you in the eye and then welcoming you back in. Like sometimes efficiency and magic aren't the same thing, right? And I get it. And it's just, from an operational standpoint, it certainly makes more sense. But I just, as we were talking, I was like, oh God, I remember like walking out with my parents and taking that stamp. All right, I'll try and go very, very quickly. we talk about like surprise and light moments. God, how I miss the original Dream Squad and the surprise moments that they had for that Year of a Million Dreams celebration from like 2005, 2007, whatever it is. Again, there was cast members whose jobs, like every cast member, but who really were just going out and making these incredible, spontaneous magic moments, whether it was a button, a private character moment, a fast pass, a private parade viewing area, like whatever it might be. Those are the things that created the memories, I think, that lasted a lifetime for people. Maybe you get a lanyard, maybe you get a pin, whatever. The brilliance was purely psychological because that magic was, it was just the presence of having them there. It wasn't earned. You didn't have to buy it. It just sort of happened. You were happy when you got it, and you were happy to watch other people get it as well. And it was this wonderful gift, I think, from Disney. Main Street USA, Oh, How I Miss You, the House of Magic. I've talked about it for years.
I knew you were going to say that.
Come on, man. I couldn't, it probably was not a revenue powerhouse, but I loved magic and the masks and, again, things with my dad. I love the original Penny Arcade on Main Street USA with the mutoscopes and the old-timey pinball machines and mechanical fortune tellers. They're scattered around a little bit. You can find them on the boardwalk and in the Boardwalk Resort. I know you were going to, I think, Tim, our friendship depends really on your reaction to this.
Oh, boy.
Dreamfinder as a walk-around character. Do you remember Ron Schneider, my man, the original Dreamfinder? You had the character in the attraction, but having him out, interacting with guests, bringing Figment with him, really helped define who and what Dreamfinder and Figment were and what they represented. That philosophical tone, like unlike traditional meet and greet, especially like quote unquote fur characters, the interactions were so conversational, so imaginative, and especially like with kids. I remember watching, and having these interactions as a kid, and watching like interactions like with my younger brother. He would encourage kids to like imagine and create stories and think of ideas. And I think he really embodied that original mission of Epcot, which was not about intellectual property. It was more about, human inspiration and human capability.
We're still friends.
Cool.
Okay.
I was hoping for a little bit more out of you, but that's fine.
No, sadly,
you're an emotional rock. It's cool. I'm going to get you to cry one of these
sadly, our existences barely overlapped. I never saw Walk Around Dreamfinder, although well aware of it, and I would miss it. And I would say first iteration of the ride, but that clearly is an attraction and was not allowed on this list. But yeah, it's one of the things. If I could have had the chance to have seen Walk Around Dreamfinder, I very much would.
Next time you come down here, I'm going to give Ron Schneider a call, and I'm going to try and have him recreate like childhood memories that you never had with it for you. Maybe I can get him to get you to cry. I know you love Epcot, so do I. Communicore, I loved, like, Communicore was Epcot doing what Epcot was born to do, man. Like hands-on, interactive, technology-based exhibits at a time when a lot of people didn't have access to a personal computer yet. You could make a video call and get dining reservations. You could interact with a robot. Like the future wasn't something that was happening at another time or place. It was something that you could like reach out and touch. And I think Innoventions tried to carry that torch forward a little bit, but nothing, that spirit of Epcot creativity never shined as bright as it did in Communicore.
See, I felt like I was going to put Innoventions on my list, and I felt that if I did, I would have gotten a big from you for violating a rule that's an attraction.
Well,
no.
I think it was an experience, not an attraction. Listen, it was an honorable mention.
Your show, your rules, man. You do what you
want. I feel like I didn't mention food at all. And this is because we're in Epcot, I was like, as you were talking, I was like, I was paying attention, but I was like mentally flying through the pavilions. Do you remember, let's listen to the land we all love, nature's plan will shine above. But more importantly, the lower level of the land pavilion, do you remember, and I want you to sort of close your eyes and see it and smell it. The Nestle Toll House cookie experience next to Sunshine Seasons in the land, where they were making like Toll House cookies there.
Yup. Oh man.
I'm not a sweets guy, Tim, but
you are a sweet guy.
I am. Well, oh shucks.
Come on, that's a softball, man.
God, is there anything else? I'm like, it's funny, we haven't really talked about other places like outside of the parks. Animal Kingdom, not really anything.
I was trying to think of an Animal Kingdom one.
I mean,
that was
Discovery
not an
Riverboats,
attraction.
But yeah, it was. I think it's just I didn't have the emotional connection to it. Maybe other people. There's probably things that we're not mentioning because of just when we were younger at our time in the parks, but. I think that's the beauty of this is like, this is such a fun, I think, subjective topic because like we said, it's not about the rides and it wasn't necessarily about like the things, it was about the feelings, right? It was about moments that we had that we felt like Disney got, like when the experiences were very personal, when the magic showed up maybe in ways that we weren't expecting or weren't scheduled or we didn't pay for or maybe didn't even realize that they were special until years later. And I think that's maybe why we miss them so much, not because of that they're gone, but because of how they made us feel when they were there. And I love the fact that our lists are different because, what's special, memorable to me might be something different for you. And it might be something small, might be something that nobody talks about. And it's why I love having you be a part of this conversation.
I have a big one that wasn't on my list, and I'm going to add it. Now that you put Communicore on the list, I was just reminded. No, and which is cool, but I will put ImageWorks on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did
got to experience it briefly. I remember it vividly, and going up, we got to go up in the DVC lounge that's up there, and it kind of brought back like vague memories of that's where it's hard to picture where things were up there when you're up there now, but yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah,
I miss that.
And I love the fact that our lists were both different. Like there was things that were like, oh, I get it, and we would sort of talk about it, but we all sort of have different memories, but maybe different things resonate with us, right? Whether it's a moment, a sound, a performer, a place, or a tiny moment. We've shared our lists. Now I want to hear yours, our friend who's listening. Like, what's that one extinct, discontinued thing in Walt Disney World that you would bring back tomorrow? Not an attraction, but maybe something for you that changed how it felt, something that was meaning for you. Please come share it over in the WDW Radio Clubhouse at wdwradio.com/clubhouse. Better yet, call the voicemail. This is your opportunity to be on the podcast, to be on the air. Call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. I'll play it on the air, or share it on social. Tag me at Lou Mangello, tag Celebrations Press. We can keep the conversation going because I think, honestly, a lot of the fun of episodes like this is discovering the memories that I forgot until you remind me. And who knows, maybe we'll come back and build this ultimate list of the little things that make Walt Disney World feel like home. And little Timmy Foster, speaking of all the feels, man, I am so grateful to you and nearly 20 years of friendship and the magic you continue to make over at celebrationspress.com. I know we are planning to do another episode soon to celebrate the release of what is yet again another, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, another spectacular book that is, very quickly, we talk about something that is so important to so many people. And for me, there's a certain standard I hold myself to, not just because I'm putting my name on it, but because I know how important Disney is. That standard that you hold for the quality you put out at Celebrations Magazine and that Spaceship Earth book that you just put out is the kind of work that I think, honestly, you should be proud of, Disney would be proud of, Walt would be proud of, and it's absolutely spectacular.
Thanks. I was trying to come up with a way to mention that book, but you did a great job.
I tried to make it less awkward for you.
Can I tell you what else is going on over at Celebrations Press Magazine Worldland?
No, I'm sorry. That's it.
Okay. Nice talking to you.
Please, go ahead.
No, like I said, the new book, Spaceship Earth, is out. Very excited about that. We also have in the same series, and this is a new series of books that we're starting. It's a Small World book that came out towards the end of last year with a free, beautiful, whimsical hippo pin, our favorite character from It's a Small World. But both books are a deep dive into the attractions, the history, the concepts, the updates, ride-throughs, photos. And I have so much fun putting these together. And it sounds funny, but these are if I was going to look for a book at Disney of something, these are the books I would want to get. That sounds a little self-serving, but you know what I mean. But we're having fun. We're actually working on our next book as we speak. I might reveal that one a little later, keep the suspense going. But in the meantime, the spring issue of Celebrations is printing as we speak, with features on the Disney Renaissance films, Winnie the Pooh, and lots of Zootopia love in this issue. And we're just starting up on the summer issue. So lots going on in my neck of the woods over at celebrationspress.com.
Awesome. I will link to it in the show notes and on social. Tim, thank you once again for coming back and, proving that nostalgia and sentiment is not something that we just have individually, and it's not just a hobby. Clearly, it's a full-time research project as well.
I got my little AM radio. I'm going to go hunting for
I am. I'm going to drive onto Walt Disney World. I mean, I'm sure it's
you
long.
Can do it. You're down there. I'm hoping
it's long gone. It is long gone.
Is it?
Yeah, I know it's long gone.
Well, you know what?
I can't imagine there's one guy at the radio station just hoping that somebody's listening to AM radio as they pop in.
Well, maybe there will be soon. I got a new...
I just remembered. I have audio of the actual broadcasts.
Really?
I do. Maybe I'll play some.
There you go.
Right here.
Welcome to the Walt Disney World Vacation Complex, including Epcot Center and the Magic Kingdom. Today, Epcot Center is open from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Magic Kingdom is open from 9 a.m. to 12 midnight. If you're going to a Walt Disney World Resort Hotel, please follow the signs or use the two far right-hand lanes at the Magic Kingdom or Epcot Center Plaza.
It's time for this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge, where you can test your knowledge of the sights, sounds, secrets, and stories of Disney. Answer correctly, enter to win, and you may just score a Disney prize package. But before we get to this week's trivia question, let's go back, review last week's, and select our winner. I hope you had a chance to listen back a couple weeks ago to the episode where I had former Imagineer Tony Baxter on the show, and your question was to tell me which of his concepts envisioned a massive themed land expansion for Disneyland that was supposed to draw inspiration from Jules Verne and H.G. Wells stories, but was unfortunately never built. First, thanks for all the great feedback about my conversation with Tony and for all the entries and correct and sometimes creative answers. And what I was looking for was Discovery Bay. This was another brilliant idea from Tony Baxter from the late 70s, early 80s, which would have really been not only inspired by the worlds of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, but it would have had that technologically advanced late 1800s San Francisco vibe, attractions based on 20,000 Leagues, Island at the Top of the World, this cool steampunk-styled waterfront environment with attractions and shops and storytelling spaces. And while it was unfortunately never built, I still think it is an influential part of Tony's legacy, and who knows, no good idea at Imagineering ever dies. But I took all the correct entries, randomly selected one, and last week you were playing for a WDW Radio keychain, stickers, pin, a new iron-on patch, and a mystery prize. And last week's winner, randomly selected, is Kara Pacheco. So Kara, congratulations. I'll get your prize package out to you right away. And if you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. So let's stick with the theme of what we were talking about on the top 10 list, and really what was number one on my list, because I love not just the Adventurers Club, but the entire idea of the story and legacy and fictionalized history of Pleasure Island. So what was the name of the fictional industrialist and adventurer who was credited as founder of both Pleasure Island and the Adventurers Club? There's a single person who, according to legend, founded both Pleasure Island and the Adventurers Club. Who was he? Now you have until Sunday, March 1st to go to www.radio.com, click on this week's podcast, use the form there, and this week you're once again playing for the keychain, the stickers, the pin, the patch, and a Disney Cruise Line mystery prize. So good luck and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show, and thank you sincerely for listening, for being part of this community and family, and for spending a little bit of your day with me. I don't take that lightly. I know how valuable your time is, and I hope that you found some magic in this week's show. If you did, please share it with somebody who could use a little bit of Disney in their life right now. And don't forget, before we go, first, I'd love to see you in person. So please join me and our WDW Radio family for the 19th annual Morgan & Morgan Walk for Wishes on Thursday, March 26th at Lake Eola Park in Orlando. Registration starts at 5 p.m. It is one easy mile to walk, no running, and every step is going to help Make-A-Wish grant life-changing wishes for kids who need them most. Sign up, join our team, get your shirt over at www.radio.com/walk4wishes. I really, truly hope to see you there. We did it last year the first time, had a lot of fun. There's free food, free entertainment, and again, it's for a good cause. Make-A-Wish is very near and dear to my heart, and because of and thanks to you, we've raised more than $550,000 to help send kids with life-threatening illnesses to Walt Disney World. This is just another way that we can do it, make a difference, and have some fun together. Also, speaking of getting together in person, I will be announcing our next in-person meet of the month soon. I am so sorry. My schedule has been so wonderfully crazy, and I miss you and the monthly meetups and promise to get back to them next month. Until then, please be kind, choose the good, and I hope that you feel a little bit better because of what you heard on the show this week, and that it has a ripple effect, that you pay that forward. You don't just choose the good, you be the good and set an example for others. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a great day and even better tomorrow. So until next time, see ya.
Hey, this is Sean from Ohio. Not my first time calling, long-time listener. I am super excited for Josh taking over as CEO. I think certainly since Michael Eisner, and maybe even since Walt himself, even though I don't believe Walt was ever CEO, Roy was, I think we've really gone back to the basics, if you will, of what Walt's vision is. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I am also very optimistic about it. I think people are going to be extremely surprised for the future of Disney. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to every visit. Love your show. Thank you.
Well, it sounds pretty good. In fact, that's just the right spirit.